We're here today with a glimpse with Andrew Wheildon-Dennis. Andrew was another one of the people that just did one of the voice matches for The Walking Dead. He played the part of Merle. What I find interesting about that, having worked with Andrew on a number of occasions, and this one just kind of punctuated it, is just how phenomenal you are with accents. So why don't you tell the class by opening your mouth and speaking with your actual voice?
Hello, everyone. Here's an accent. This is one accent. I do. We were speaking briefly earlier about. I had a very international upbringing, let's say, where I was born in England and then grew up in Puerto Rico and in Texas. And I think that experience of having lived in places with all these very different accents, very different from one another, and then coming back to the UK where it's like this tiny little group of islands with these vastly different accents, just like a couple of hours away from each other. It was all unbeknownst to me, this sort of like pervasive training of the ear, and just started to notice that I was initially it was more that like I realized I could parrot stuff well. And what that led to was many years of like doing okay accents, but only if I could repeat directly what somebody had just said. And I could never like improvise or just kind of like, say something off the top. Or everything needed a heck of a lot of practice. I couldn't just like launch into an accent, or certainly within a minute or so, you would hear all the flaws in it, right? Listening to people with a particular accent over and over and over. And in fact, sort of Eliza helped me with a particular method of just kind of like listening on loop to stuff and recording yourself on loop. So really getting like systematic about like listening back, repeating, finding like a good sentence that's got like a lot of variety, that kind of covers like the whole kind of vowel sets and um any kind of like interesting little flavors to an accent. And yeah, splicing something together that's like that voice on loop for absolutely ages, and kind of going to bed with it and going for long walks and listening to that on loop, and like bumping into somebody on the dog path, and I'm going like, hey y'all, what's going on, or something like that, and give me some weird looks.
Interestingly enough, that's a technique that that I talk about a lot, that I would say both of us encourage people to do, just to go out there and road test your voices, because people you're talking to don't know. And
Yeah.
And you'll and I think there's enough feedback that you kind of get like, oh, I didn't do that well, or wow, I can actually pull this off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so one of the other things I was doing a lot, excuse me, when I was sort of concentrating more on the training for my accents, was I was in quite a few workout groups, much like the one that you run on Voice Director, and I think that's essential. Being in a small group of other actors, and just all inhibitions put to the side, and be prepared to completely get it wrong and sound, feel stupid, feel like everything you're saying doesn't sound right, and is kind of embarrassing, because that's where it's bound to start. It's so rare that anybody just can launch into an accent perfectly, or like it's a skill set that needs refining. And certainly anybody I've met who naturally can pick up an accent, and it seems it's very consistent, it's very believable. If you then make them act in that accent,
right,
it can be a case of like they're so tuned into the accent that there's no space left for the acting, right?
Or when you get to the exclamation parts in a script, that you fall back into your natural accent. I find that happens.
Oh yeah, Yeah, completely. An interesting observation I've had in recent years is like, so obviously the accent that I speak with now, this was not my accent some, I don't know, I've been in the UK for like 20 years. So in the, from like 15 to 20 years ago, this was not the accent I had. This was what sort of developed after coming here, and I never did theater and stuff before I moved here. So I came here and I got into theater and performing, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, but I hate being the only American kid. So I started putting on the accent, and then eventually it stuck. And now what's really funny is that like when I'm doing just like Gen M, just a standard American accent, I have to really think hard. Like it doesn't just come back and it's like 100%. I don't need to think about it for a second. I really do have to catch myself sometimes, because you just get so used to your own oral posture, right? And become so comfortable. And I think when you really get into accents and into the nitty-gritty, or me anyway, I hear it so loudly when I'm off accent or when I'm off voice or whatever. It might be the subtlest of things that 99% of people won't pick up, but I hear it like it's louder than anything else. So yeah, that can drive me nuts sometimes.
You hear it when you're speaking it, or you hear it on your playback?
I hear it generally mostly on playback, right? In the moment, it's like less noticeable because you're just too into it to tell. But then, yeah, playback, and I don't know. Generally, with the American accent slipping because of my English accent, it'll be like a softening of stuff, like a softening of the R. There's that ew sound that Brits add to words like new and June and things like that. Yeah, so it's like little things.
Andrew Wheildon-Dennis, it was such a pleasure for you to come and speak with us today. It's been so nice to get back together with you since our sessions. You're such a pleasure to work with, and I look forward to whatever accent we get you into next. I want one that you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Challenge.